Welcome, my lovely light, to the Empath Alchemist with Shelly Bond. I'm Shelly. I am a mama of three. I am here just creating some more support for empaths. Empaths are really big, energetic feelers where maybe you've just like always felt weird your entire life, felt like you never fit in, just like the odd duckling in your family, in school, in work. I think of my daughter who's 16 and she's a sophomore getting ready to be a junior. And right now it's like there's all of these like tests that they take in the classes that you take at school, and they're trying to fit them into their career path, but not everybody has a traditional career path. But we all think that we need to graduate high school, go to college, get whatever job, but maybe that's not like what works for all of us, especially us big feelers. And for me, I never felt like doing something in the spiritual space was worthy, or maybe that I wasn't worthy of it. But the more that I do this, these more alive feelings, the universe is communicating with me and saying, "Yeah, Shelly, this is exactly where you need to be. This is what you need to be doing." I'm 42. I'm getting ready actually to turn 43 June 10th. My dad died almost my husband's birthday. I'm thinking all of these things. My husband's birthday is coming up, and my dad is he died 2 months ago, and it's been really freaking hard. He had pancreatic cancer, and this was the third time he had cancer. He was 72, and it's this crazy story that when I was younger, my parents were divorced, and when I was 10, I didn't see my dad. Like, I stopped seeing my dad, and he didn't really come back into my life until I was 23 years old. And it was crazy that my husband and I went for this big hike at Bridal Veil Falls, and I fell down these waterfalls, and I had this like near death experience where I blinked and I wasn't a part of my sister's life, and my dad, he wasn't in my life. And I thought of my dad and I thought of my sisters, and I wanted to have relationships with them. And so when I got back into cell phone service after it was like horrible, my husband saved my life. You can read all about it in my book, Awaken You. Um, that my husband like hoisted me up. He was my superhero. We got married when we were 20. I'm doing like this whole kind of recap just so you can get to know me a bit. But after I hobbled my way back, I called my dad, and he started coming into my life. Like, not all the time, but like at least once a month I was seeing him. And it was this slow growth of healing all of these wounds. And so I've had my dad in my life now for 20 years, almost 20 years. And then he's gone now. And it's really just like, and everyone just expects you to just like be okay and like have all your shit figured out and just pretend that everything is fine and that you're not sad. And I'm just telling you that if you've experienced grief, like I've had friends who've lost their parents, but I've never comprehended it because I also have a mother that I don't see for very specific reasons. And that's what's better for me. But it's like when you actually lose somebody who you want in your life, it's really hard. And it's really hard on my kids. It's been hard on my husband because my dad has also been like the only dad my husband has ever known in his life. And it comes up all in all different ways. And healing is this like huge plethora, this huge journey. And I'm starting this podcast because I really want to help big feelers, sensitive people like me who can walk into a room and just like immediately get like that anxiety or that fear or that panic, or just feel like enlivened by it. Like we're all different types of empaths. So an empath in the Merriam's dictionary, right? It's like this big emotional feeler. And to be an alchemist is someone who can shift something from one thing into another. And so I've really learned over the years that instead of being afraid of my spiritual gifts, that I can actually use them to help me. And it doesn't always happen like that, but there's so many different tools that I've learned along the way that I want to bring into your life and I want to help you with. And me sharing my sad story about my dad is not to make you feel bad for me, but to know that we all have pain and that we all have deep shit and wounds and cracks. And I have a million sad stories that we can alchemize, we can rise above, we can use these as like our reasons why. Because there could be a million reasons why I could just hide in my bed and feel so sad for myself because my dad is dead. And my stepmom, it's just been kind of weird. And that when my dad was dying, I got asked to leave his death. And I was so confused because I have three stepbrothers, and my stepbrothers got to be there, but me and my sister, one of my five sisters, had to leave. And I was like, my dad's already dying, and I'm being asked to leave the situation. And I was so mad. I was so mad at my stepmom. I couldn't understand. And I'm just like doing my best to not create resentment because I feel like resentment is just one of those low vibrations that just steals the life out of us. And I'm so grateful though that the next day when my dad actually did pass, it was the 18th of what month are we in? May, April. Was it April 18th? April, May. I can't even remember the months. They're all mixing together. The month before April, if my brain can't think, March 18th, which is crazy because my dad was born December 18th and he died on the day he was born. But actually, my stepmom called me and asked me if I wanted to come and see my dad after he had died. And I know that that's like a thing that I've noticed that people get really offended when you say die versus passing. And it's just like he died. And it's just a word that I used, and it's just a word. But I got to go and see him after he had passed. And that was really hard. I had to walk into this room, and my dad and his wife, my stepmom, and their three boys that he raised because I wasn't around. They're very stoic, and they just are very like trying to make sure that everyone is upbeat and everything is fine. And I walk into a room where my dad is dead and he's in his hospital bed in the living room, and no one was crying, and it was just like horrible. And it was horrible, and I had to pretend like I was just fine. I had to pretend like it was just fine that I walked into this room where my dad is dead on this bed. And it wasn't fine. And it was very sad, but I had to hold it in. And thank you for holding this space that I had to just like be okay with my dad's dead body here. And then my dad donated his body to science, which was very much my dad. He was all about helping people and teaching. He was a coach. He got inducted into the Wrestling Hall of Fame from coaching for 47 years. He was a rugby player, a fierce, like 6'4", 230 force of nature on the football field. He was a football coach, a wrestling coach. He was just like, he was everything that I wanted my kids to grow up to have a grandparent, and he was the grandpa. And now he's gone, and we don't have him. And he got to come to my son's football games and wrestling games, and it was so amazing to have him in our lives. And it's so weird to even wrap my head around that he just like this fall for my son's football, like he won't be there. He'll never be able to come to one of our football games. I'll never be able to call him again. And so many things and so many things. And so I'm here just healing and being vulnerable with the truth of my ugly truths, and in hopes to help you, because I think that sharing is this gateway of really helping us connect. So, today on the Empath Alchemist podcast, I wanted to give you a tip to help you alchemize some of this pain and this painful energy. So, I feel like there's so many different things that we can do. And yes, there's meditation practices. Like, I'm a yoga teacher. I've been teaching yoga for 8 years, and practicing on my own for actually almost 12. And we can't always be on our yoga mat. Like, that's why I fell in love with yoga, is that I always wanted to be on this mat because it was like the only time of day that I could feel connected to myself, that I could actually give myself love and acceptance, and I wouldn't judge myself, and I would feel like completely present in my emotional body, my energy body. And but I've learned, though, as an alchemist, that we have to learn how to take our practice and our tools with us off of our mat. So it's like in those moments where we get triggered, where I talk about that story of my dad, and I can just like feel it. I can feel his cold body, him laying dead on this horrible hospital bed. And I see these women that come in to take my dad, and they take his body and they put this cover over top of him. It's like this blue velvet covering, and they have a rose with him. They make his bed and they leave this rose. It gives me crazy goosebumps on his bed. And they just take his body. And it brings me exactly back to that moment and all of that pain of like, wow, he's just gone. And then he's physically gone. Like, his spirit was gone, and then he was gone. And so for me in this moment, and for you, I want you to teach you that it's really important as an empath to like dig into those feelings and allow yourself to be in them and feel through them, but not to get stuck with them. Because you think of like a flowing river. And so it's coming up, all of these emotions are coming up, like sadness, anger, resentment, all of those feelings. And all of those are really low vibrational feelings. And what can we do to bring some love and compassion to help heal and start helping open up these lines of healing? So, for me or for you, whatever resonates, like putting a hand on my heart and a hand on my belly, like that's an instant way to alchemize, and it's not hard. So you're having this pain, it's coming up, or I think maybe even in my throat it comes up because I didn't have the courage. I didn't want to hurt my stepmom's feelings. And I've still never said anything to her about how upset that I was that she made me leave when my dad was dying, because I found it extremely rude. And I felt like it was like, wait, why am I being asked to leave? Like, this is my dad, and he's my dad, and I should be able to be there. And I didn't say anything. So even me just saying this to you or sharing it with somebody, it's like allowing it to clear through my throat chakra. And then I'm feeling it in my heart and in my solar plexus. And your heart is where all of the healing and all of that pain gets trapped. Solar plexus is just that space of like inner wisdom. It's that space of like really knowingness. So for me, I'm feeling it through all of these chakras. So whatever pain, or maybe you have a really deep trauma that just like, I don't know if my story brought up anything for you, if you have any trauma around death or fear of death, that just feel into those painful spaces. And for me, I can just bring in love. So a great way to alchemize is just even the mantra or the affirmation, I am love. And you might at first like think, why would I say that? So I am, they're the two most powerful words that are spoken. And when you attach I am and then love to them, that you're raising your vibration to that frequency. So it can take a while, and it can be something like saying that I am love, honestly, sometimes like 100 times. I am love. And if that doesn't resonate, sometimes it's just saying the word love, or maybe you can think of something that makes you feel love, or whatever it is, because there's, right, a million different ways to get to love. And so whatever works best for you, however you can access that. So for me, it's I am love. I am love. I am love. And when I'm struggling at night, I will lay in bed and I will say those three words: I am love, over and over and over until I can feel myself shifting into that frequency. Because again, I am, two most powerful words, whatever it is that you attach. So you can say, I am scared, I am worried, I am anxious, I am nervous. We usually assign ourselves to those really low vibrations. And you think of energies and emotions like on this scale that go up and down, and fear is all the way down here at the bottom, and love is all the way at the top. So we're just trying to reach ourselves and bring ourselves back up to those vibrations or to those frequencies. So like I said, that there's so many different ways that you can get there, but it's just up to you of how you choose to do that. And so just your tip today of being an empath alchemist is, how can you bring love into those painful spaces, into your grief, into your trauma, into your pain, and even just today, putting your hands on your heart and just saying, I am love. I am love. And sometimes it's saying I am loved and adding the ED on the end. So I'm so grateful for this opportunity to share and to grow with you and to truly become an empath alchemist of your life. I am Shelly Bond, and I will see you back here next time. Love and light, my beautiful friends. Namaste.